bitch, I've got voices in my head.
Hey, bloody buddies.
Welcome back.
Oh my god, we've missed you guys.
I know, it's been so long. It's been very hectic with the holidays, work, and everything, but we are back, bitches.
We're back. We're back. And we're gonna hit you guys with another true crime story.
I hope
Story
you're ready.
time.
We love story time.
Get your snacks, get your little drinky drink. We're gonna hit you guys with another true crime.
So, the one we're covering today is actually an unsolved true crime.
Unsolved. We love a good unsolved.
Right. So we are going to be putting in the description a number for any tips or leads. So definitely keep that in mind as you're listening. If you know anything or have any information in order to kind of help with this story, please call the number.
Yes. Any sort of tip, anything at all. If anything even remotely sounds familiar, call. You never know what that one little thing that you might know might crack a case wide open. So
That's right. But let's go ahead and dig right into it. So what are we discussing?
today we're going to talk about the Delphi murders, the murder of Abigail Williams and Libby Germain. So,
And this one is actually a more recent one.
Yes.
This is not something, we're not talking about like the 60s, 70s, not even the 80s or 90s. This was actually 2017. So we're going to go ahead and just dig right into it.
so this actually happened on, I believe it was it Valentine's Day or the day
Yes.
before Valentine's Day?
It was February 14th,
Yes.
2017.
So, yes, on February 14th, the bodies of Abigail Williams and Libby Germain were discovered near the, I believe it's pronounced Monon High.
Monon High Ridge Trail.
And now this was part of the Delphi Historic Trails in Delphi, Indiana. Now, excuse me, if you guys have probably heard about this because this one, like I said, is a lot more recent.
Yeah.
It's either been known as the Delphi murders or the Snapchat murders. And we'll get into that a little
Yes.
more. So, now, based on the evidence, it's believed that the crime was committed between 2:07 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. the day before. So, they were actually murdered on the 13th. They were discovered on the 14th. Now, and all of this is just going off of Liberty's Snapchat story.
Right. So these girls, obviously at that age, are using things like Snapchat. So we're getting this time description because of her Snapchat story and the time that they posted.
Yes. So this was, I believe the school was calling it a snow day, but it was an unusually warm day. What I'm assuming, and this is just guessing, I don't know, but what I'm assuming is that the school had snow days to use up in the school year, so they just basically used it as a snow day, took the day off of school. And it was an unusually warm day, so the girls decided that they wanted to get out of the house. They wanted to go do a little outdoorsy stuff. These girls were very sports oriented. They were very much into outdoors, photography, things like that. So,
Which I think kind of explains the whole Snapchat thing and going out on the trail. I think it was just a day for them to really enjoy, like you said, the unusually warm weather, snap some really cool pictures, things like that, because there was one Snapchat picture that was taken of the girl on the bridge, and it was definitely like a staged picture, very pretty picture, so you could definitely tell they were into that kind of stuff.
yeah, so they decided, let's get out, let's go outside, let's go do some things.
Yeah.
So, at 1:35, this was a Monday afternoon, Abby and her friend, Liberty, better known as Libby, so you might hear us refer to her as either, Abby and Libby, were dropped off by Jermaine's older sister, Kelsey, on the county road that led up to the hiking trail.
And this is going to be west of the huger Heartland Highway where the girls were going hiking. So if you're familiar with the area, that's the area that they were actually going to.
Now, at 2:07, Libby posted a Snapchat story of Abby on the bridge that overlooks the Deer Creek. And they were never heard from again after that Snapchat story.
And that's where we get that timeline from earlier that we told you about as far as when the actual situation happened. That's how we got the start time. So we know at 2:07, everything was going according to plan. They were on the trail. They were having a good time taking pictures. So we know everything was fine at this point.
Yes. Now, I believe it was Libby's dad was supposed to pick them up.
Yes.
It was sometime in that afternoon around like 3 or so, I believe, is when he was supposed to pick them up.
Right.
He called, got no answer, showed up. The girls were not there. So at 5:30 that evening, the girls were reported missing by Libby's father.
And this was after they did their own search. So just to clarify, once it was a couple of hours, like you said, around 5:30, they realized, okay, these girls never showed up. The family did their own search for the girls. Couldn't find them, and that's when they were like, okay, let's call police.
Yeah, they were like, okay, something's not right here.
Yeah.
So they searched, they couldn't find them, they called the police, reported them missing. Now, a search was conducted, and this I thought was a little strange, the search was called off at dark. Or I believe, it was after dark. It was somewhere around midnight.
Yes,
the search was called off, which
I think their reasoning was, oh, it's getting dark, let's go home.
Which, to me personally, I just thought was a little strange. It's February, even though it's unseasonably warm. It's February, it's after dark. It's going to get cold out there. It's Indiana. It's fixing to get cold. So me personally, I thought it was a little strange that they called it off at midnight. But
I thought it was strange too. And the police were not concerned at first. They did not consider them to be in danger. I think it was the police feeling kids being kids maybe, and just
they got lost on a trail or something.
Or they just didn't want to come home yet.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were really not bothered by this situation at all.
Which the families have come out and have said that is totally unlike these two girls.
Yes.
So
they knew right away something was fishy.
Yeah. To me, that was just a little strange, but so they called off the search, and they said that there was no reason to believe that there was any sort of foul play. They didn't believe that the girls were in danger at all. Now, the bodies of the girls were found around noon the next day, and it was about half a mile east of the abandoned bridge. And
so it wasn't very far at all.
No, and they were found, I believe it was on the bank of the river, just on the other side of the bridge. So they were right there.
Yeah, it's very. Ugh.
And not to say that finding them sometime that evening could have helped, but you never know.
No, it was definitely one of those where obviously if they would have kept searching overnight, it wouldn't have saved their lives. But we still find this just to be very peculiar, where you've got girls this young and you're not concerned about doing an overnight search to find them.
Yes. Now, the police have not publicly stated or released details about how these girls were murdered. They never released any sort of autopsy information, nothing like that. But they did, however, release a photo that was taken on Libby's phone of the suspect that they believe killed these girls. And you can hear a voice clip of him saying, "down the hill," which I so commend these girls for having the hindsight to at least know at that point something was off. And there is a video you can see of him approaching them on the bridge. And so this is one of the things that kind of caught me, was if you see a close-up picture of the bridge, it's slats of wood with blank spaces between them.
And it's narrow too. So basically, with him walking towards them, they had nowhere to go. They were basically at a dead end.
Well, if you see the way that this man is approaching them, he's walking very fast across this bridge. But like I said, if you miss one of these slats, you're falling straight through. So
it's not something that's easy to walk fast on.
I kind of feel like he has been on this bridge more than once or twice.
He definitely looked like he was comfortable with it, because this is
he
not...
was booking it across
These
there.
aren't like your city bridges that are nice and smooth. It's definitely...
It's an old wooden bridge.
It's one where I would be walking very slowly and carefully and watching my steps very carefully. So.
Yes. And he was booking it. So.
Yes. And he kept his head down the whole time too.
Yes.
He and we'll post a picture on Instagram for you as well. But he had a hat on. His head's kind of down. He's got his hands in his pockets, and he's telling them down the hill.
Yes. So now, the police stated that they did not provide any further footage as to not compromise any future trials. So, which leads me to believe there is more out there than what was just released.
There definitely
There
is.
always is, but-
I actually read somewhere where somebody working on the case saw the entire footage that's available, and he wouldn't really explain what was in it, but he did say that it haunted him, and mentioned something about the look in one of the girl's eyes while the other girl was being harmed. So there's definitely more footage out there. They're just not giving it to us. I find it kind of frustrating simply for the fact that they're saying, oh, to protect in case something, any future trials. Well, we don't even have a suspect at this point. So obviously we need more information to find this guy.
Well, and there's no telling what is on those videos or voice clips or whatever, because we haven't been privy to them. Nobody has. I don't mean us particularly. I mean us as a society has not been privy to those things. And so what we have is a faraway shot and a small little voice clip. And although those are good for what they are, and thank God these girls had hindsight to do that, it's not enough, because clearly these girls were killed in 2017. It's now 2021. It's been several years. It's time to start releasing some more information.
Especially, like I said, with the way he is in this video, if you've never seen it before, he's wearing jeans, a navy blue jacket, and a hat, and from what you can tell, his head's down, and you can't really make out. I mean, you can slightly see his face.
You can see details. You can definitely, but it's not.
I wouldn't be able, if it was somebody I knew, I probably wouldn't be able to figure out who exactly it was, especially with the voice clip being as small as it is. With only hearing a couple of words, it's really hard to decipher, especially because he doesn't have a distinct accent from what I can tell. He doesn't have any sort of drawn out accent,
Yeah.
So it's really hard to pinpoint from such a small clip.
Yeah. I feel like in order to get more help from the public, gotta release more.
Well, not only that, but I believe you said something before about how they try to make the image a little bit clearer.
Yes, so the family came out afterwards and said that they sent the footage that they did have from Libby's phone to NASA. It was sent to Disney, Pixar, and I do not remember. I apologize. They sent it to 3 places. I do not remember the third. But the quality of footage and voice clip that is out there is absolutely the best that can be released. They could not get anything better than what they have. And so, to me personally, I just think it's been since 2017. This is the best that you guys have. And nobody has come forward and said this is who it is. We gotta release more.
We need more. Now, I don't think it should be obviously video clips of the crime.
No, I think that's just insensitive.
But I feel like at least cut some of the audio of his voice, because I'm sure he said more throughout the crime. I just feel like there's got to be something we can do, because this family deserves justice.
Yes. So now, on March 17th, of 2017, the Indiana State Police, the FBI, and Carroll County Sheriff's deputies serve a search warrant at the home of Ron Logan. Now, Ron Logan is the gentleman who owned the 30-acre property where Abby and Libby were found. Now, after their bodies were found, Inside Edition speaks to him about the discovery on his property, and is quoted as him saying, "That was like being hit with a bolt of lightning on my property. You just can't put words to it. It was something I couldn't get my emotions around. You can't believe that something this terrible in this community happened here on my property, in my backyard.
And I feel my heart goes out to him, because I think a lot of people who live in like cities and such, to them to hear that these girls were on his property, it's like, oh, he must have done it. But for us, we live in the country, and I have acres of land out in the woods, and
This can happen.
it could somebody could do something on, I mean, anybody can hop into the woods that's adjacent to the land that I own and do something like this. It doesn't mean I had anything to do with it. But what's sad too is they live in a small town. So we live in a small town.
Side eye.
Yeah, people heard about this. They heard, oh, the girls were found on his property. So my heart immediately went out to him, because he obviously had nothing to do with it. It's just, unfortunately, the crime was committed on his property. He was not the man in the video. It's very clear he had nothing to do with it. He just...
And even aside from all of that, he does also have an alibi. He was not even on his property at the time. He was out buying tropical fish. Like, of all things. He was out buying tropical fish. She was not home, so...
Exactly. So, just when you hear his name, don't think ill of him. He is a good guy who just, unfortunately, a bad guy did something on his property. And like I said, I had a lot of, like, my friends from the city be like, well, he must have done it. I'm like, no, when you live in the country and you own land... your land and the woods go together. They blend in. So
now, Ron Logan is later sentenced to 2 years for operating a vehicle after being a habitual traffic offender. He's accused of driving to the county dump on the day that the girls vanished, but he's not facing any charges in connection with their disappearance at all. So we just want to make that very clear.
He just went to get some fish and went to the dump. We go to the dump every day. That's another country life kind of situation.
Now, on July 17th, officers distributed a composite sketch of someone who, at the time of the investigation, was sought as a person of prime interest in the murders. Now, eyewitnesses around the area described the man that they saw,
like other people that were on the trails, because it was kind of like a trail area where I would imagine like hikers and people just nature lovers.
It was, and like we said earlier, it was an abnormally warm day. I'm assuming that there was people wanting to get out.
Yes, especially in Indiana. If it's warm in February.
You've been holed up for a little while. It's like, oh, we can get out. So they drew this composite sketch. They distributed it out, and that is the sketch that is now out there to the public. So you guys can Google it if you want to see the sketch, and you guys can also Google the video. Yeah, you can kind of see the comparison. So
the video's everywhere on YouTube. So
yes. So now on April 19th of 2019, now mind you, this is 2 years later, Indiana State Police announced a new direction in the case. As an updated sketch was provided, as well as a longer clip of the video where you can hear the man saying, "Guys, down the hill."
So we're only getting one more word in. Let's make that clear. It's not like the video you're seeing anything new. It's still him walking, and it's still him just giving them directions. It's not like you see him like handling them or something like that.
It's basically just an unclipped version of the original. What they originally put out there was just
down the hill.
Yeah. It's just an unclipped version, that's all. The sketch was also updated with a more clean-shaven looking man who they stated may look younger than he is.
Which I found peculiar, because even though the video clip is, I would say, pixelated kind of.
Yeah.
You can, or at least I feel like you can tell in the video that this guy is an older man to me. Like the way he carries himself, the little bit of his face you can see. Like I told you, I was looking more at like 40s to 50s in this. I could never imagine this being a young person just from his stance, his clothes.
His demeanor.
Yeah, like the clothing was definitely not something I picture an 18-year-old wearing.
Well, and that was one of the things that I thought was just so wild, is that the police believe he could be anywhere from 18 to 40. That is such a huge
That's
age
not
range.
going to help.
Like, we got to get more information and narrow this down. 18 to 40. That could
too
be
big.
anybody.
That's way too big of an age gap.
Yeah, that could be anybody. And they believe he could very well just be hiding in plain sight.
Because again, this is a small town, so, and he seemed to obviously have known the area well. Again, this is not like a nature trail at a national park. This is not a bridge that is up to date or up to par. Like she said earlier, it's one that you would have difficulty walking across. So it's, again, very weird that he was able to easily walk it. He obviously knew his way around. And in such a small town, it's very likely he's still there.
Yeah, I personally believe that he's very familiar with this area.
And I personally believe he's so pompous that he's still there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't think he ran.
Now, police also asked for any information in regards to a vehicle that was left abandoned at the Hoosier Heartland Highway in Delphi. Now, so this is another one of those things. I'm telling you, it just boggles my mind. So you have this vehicle that was left abandoned, and it was on the same highway that leads to the trail. No information.
No. It's very peculiar. And this happened between noon and 5 on the same day of the murders.
Yes.
And it just dropped off. And I found it kind of ironic. It was at a former child services.
Yeah, it was at the former child services office. I was just like...
Kind of ironic. Child murder, child services, same day.
And it was left there between noon and 5 on the day of the murders.
Now, we do have a list of people that were persons of interest, just to kind of give you an idea. Like, they didn't just say, oh, who's this guy? Okay, that's it. They did look into potential suspects.
Yes. So, the first gentleman was Paul Etter. Now, on July 23rd of 2019, Etter was wanted for the kidnapping and rape of a 26-year-old woman on June 22nd. And I'm not sure how to pronounce this. I believe it's Tippecanoe County. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
I have no idea.
You guys tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. Now, 5 days later, he was surrounded by police, and after a 5-hour standoff, he died by suicide.
So it's kind of like, it very well could be. I mean, it's a somewhat similar incident, I guess you'd say. But I don't know with the age difference with a 26-year-old and then you've got little kids. So it's kind of
there's...
But then you got people like Richard Ramirez.
That's what I was just about to say, who's just like out raping and killing everybody.
Everybody.
So, like,
everybody from the age of freaking 2 to 100. So
he had no type.
Exactly. So we don't know.
And I'm not saying that to laugh. I don't mean to... You know what I mean.
Y'all know our dark asses.
Yes. Now, the second gentleman of interest was Daniel J. Nations. He was a registered sex offender from Indiana and was arrested in Woodland Park, Colorado in September of 2017 and was charged with threatening strangers on a Moment Trail with a hatchet.
So,
it's like,
here's what got me. I saw trail, so I'm like, ooh, maybe.
Potentially.
But this guy is threatening grown-ass people with a hatchet. He's obviously very much, look at me, look at me. You know what I mean? This is somebody who wants to be seen.
Yes.
I don't feel like that really matches whoever did the Delphi murders, just because I don't feel like they're this outspoken, running around threatening people with a hatchet.
Yeah. Now, the expired Indiana plates on the car Nations was driving was noticed by police, who subsequently discovered an outstanding warrant under his name. Surprise, surprise.
Imagine that.
The public speculations still assume...
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave that there.
We'll let y'all dwell on that one.
Now, there was a report of a bicyclist being fatally shot on the same trail at the same time that he was seen out there.
Harassing people with a hatchet. So, this guy just sounds fucking crazy. I'm just gonna... I don't know.
But to me, like you said, it almost sounds very much like a look at me kind of guy.
Yes. Somebody who's really there for the attention and not so much the lust of the crime.
Yes. Now, on January 5th of 2018, Nations was sentenced to 3 years of probation for threatening members of the public in Colorado.
He likes to just go around threatening people.
So,
Oh, God help him.
who knows? Who knows as far as that goes. Now, on January 24th, he was transferred to Indiana's official custody
On an unrelated charge.
charge.
So this guy's just a whole hot mess. He's got charges everywhere. I
Which-
can't with him.
which was what? None other than failure to register as a sex offender.
Exactly.
So, but he was considered to be no longer a person of interest in the murders. So,
And I have to agree with him on that. He's, like I said, he's just,
he just sounds like a nut job
yeah,
to me.
he's a flamboyant character. Now, is he a sex offender? Absolutely. You know, obviously the Delphi murders is technically sex offender type activity, but like I said, I just
And he
don't
seemed
see...
to look at me.
Yeah, he's way too much needs attention kind of situation.
I almost feel like if he had done this, that he would come out and admit it just for the
yeah, for the clout.
notoriety.
Especially since he was arrested, and I mean, at that point, a lot of times, once somebody is arrested, if they did actually do a crime that's unsolved, they're quick to go ahead and confess. Like, yeah, by the way, I also did this. I mean, we saw that with Richard Ramirez. Once he was caught, everything came out.
It was just like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll admit it. I did everything. So, we just want to strongly urge, if you have any information at all whatsoever that might even remotely sound like this guy,
or if you were on that trail that day and maybe you just didn't notice something right away, but now you're looking back and like, maybe I did
something's
see
a little
something.
fishy.
Yeah, anything.
Call.
And like I said, I'm going to link the number under the description that you can call with any information
Yes.
at all.
Call.
And there's a lot of information on the internet about this. Like we said, go on YouTube, search it. You'll find the video of him walking and hear his voice. There's still a lot of active Facebook groups that are involved in trying to solve this case. You know, if you feel like you're in the area and you can help, definitely join those groups. Obviously, we're too far away to help, but we want to at least bring exposure to this.
Yes, if there's anything that we can do as far as bring awareness to it, because even though this is still a very new 2017, it's almost like things are happening so fast in our country right now that it's almost like people are forgetting.
Right.
And so it's like, no, these girls were still murdered.
And they
these
deserve
girls,
justice.
yes, these girls still do not have justice.
I mean, we're about to hit the 4-year mark.
Yes.
Like almost exactly 4 years and nothing. And I can't even imagine what their family's going through. It's like the amount of stress and unanswered questions, and the fact that whoever did this is just walking around living their life
And the fact
is
that,
sickening.
and the fact that these girls were not out doing anything wrong.
They were literally just being kids, and somebody took that away from them.
Yes.
So again, if y'all know anything, you know what to do.
You guys
that
call.
number.
So, listen, until next time, we're going to hit you guys with another banger next time. Don't worry.
We got you. We're back, bitches.
We missed you guys, and we are back. So, until next time, bye.